Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today we're talking about skirting. And what we're doing is we're putting up some skirting to cover up the whole side of the deck so you can't see underneath it. It gives it a nice private look. We're drying in these decks so it'll be a nice storage area for our client. If you like what you see today, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon every time you want to be notified we're putting out fresh content. And please don't forget to go check out Dr. Dex Masterclass. All right, so what we got going on here is we're basically using AZEK decking as skirting. It's not the cheapest thing in the world to do. It's actually rather expensive. But when you're doing 8-foot high walls, there's not a lot of options out there for you to do. So we chose to do it in vertical deck boards. So you need support every 16 inches. You're not walking on this like a deck. It's not so much that you need the structural support, but you do need to have fasteners about every 16 inches just to keep the decking sturdy. Now the trick is that we're also doing this on a curve. So for curves, we usually use another piece. We take AZEK decking, rip it in half to 2 3/4, and we use side rails. And then we bend those side rails. We usually cold bend them right along, and then we put in 4x4s every 4 feet, and then we put a 2x4 stiffener about every 2 feet. And that really helps keep this from moving. Okay, it's super sturdy. And then what we do is we come along and then we custom cut each board. We install the board with Cortex fasteners, and then we come back and we cover all the plugs up, and then you have a really nice, beautiful skirt without any issues. So if you chase along this rail, you'll see where the curve ends, and then it goes into a square. Any straight runs, we use 2x4. We have a curved 5/4 by 10 rim board. That's why we're using 1-inch thick curved boards here, and plus they're flexible. So we usually don't use timber or lumber when we're trying to curve a skirt because it just doesn't work very well. This works really good, very solid, never gonna have a problem, and it doesn't rot. So bonus, bonus, bonus. So basically, the ground, usually we try to do skirting, if it's level ground, it's great. We can cut all the boards at the same measurement. But on this particular deck, the ground is straight and then it comes up and shortens as it goes up. So we have to custom cut each piece as we go. So right now, that's what we're doing. We're just measuring each board, cutting it, installing it, measure the next board, cut it, install it, and so on and so forth, so that until we get to the final run. So if you just try to pre-cut a bunch of boards, you're probably not gonna have them very accurate. So it's better to maybe, on the straight runs, we can cut 4 or even all the boards, depending if there's any elevation change or not. If it's all straight, we can cut all the boards at once. But once you start going up at an angle, you're gonna have issues. So we cut each board, and we just cut them square, because I am gonna put a piece of base trim in an alternate color to match the alternate colored fascia boards that we're doing. And that's gonna be on the bottom of the deck. It's gonna look really sweet, and that'll be Cortex as well. All right, so here we are underneath the deck. I just wanted to show you guys the initial frame and how we started it. So basically, yeah, this skirting's about 8 feet tall. So we started with 4x4s attached to the back side of the rim board, outside rim joist on the deck. All right, so if we had to pour some small concrete footings. They're not structural. We just want to keep them, we want to keep the bases of our skirt posts intact so they don't move around. So when I kick this thing isn't moving around. So we poured a bunch of footings, mini footings I'll call them, in place. And then what we did is we put 1-inch elevation 1-inch standoff bases on each 4x4 to keep them up off the ground so they don't get wet. Now this deck's waterproof, so they're not gonna get wet anyways, but just in case there's moisture, ground contact, moisture, that kind of thing, we're keeping everything 1 inch off the ground. So once we anchored those brackets in place, we put the 4x4s in, we attached them to the rim board, the outside rim joist of the deck, and then because this is 1.5 inches here, we use 1.5 2x4s, 1.5 by 3.5 every 16 inches. And we attach those to the 4x4s. So they're all screwed together. That became our frame for the skirting. All right, so over here, you see we used screws that were short enough so they didn't poke through the 2x4s. But once we started our curve, same concept, but same thing we did with the 4x4s, but we have 1 inch rim joist instead of an 1.5-inch rim joist. So we had to thin out and use thinner pieces, but they're flexible. That's how we got the curve going on this deck, right? So the screws poke out just a little bit. We'll go back and grind all those off for the client so that they're not poking their fingers off on those or anything like that. But you can see kind of what we did is we put some temporary cement stakes. So when you're spanning a thinner material in between a longer span, these middles were a little out of whack. They were a little out of whack this way, and they were a little unstable. So on the outside curve, we added a 2x4 brace every so often so that we could keep it as a stiffener and to be able to keep all these in a direct line. Okay, so that's what the inside of this looks like. I don't plan on trimming this out. This is unfinished storage. It's not a finished fine basement or anything like that. It's just a really large shed now. So that's what's going on there. These are temporary. We'll pull these out now that we got the thing built and everything's stable. These stakes will come out. So basically, that's what we did here. And then some spots, if we didn't pour concrete, we put a post back into our structure of our deck so that this wouldn't move either. It's nice and solid. So that's one thing about skirting with me is I want it to last just as long as the deck. I don't want anything flimsy, so it's a good product. That's what we like when we do this kind of thing, is make it bulletproof. So that's what we did. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you picked up something about skirting today. If you did, please click that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we're putting out new content, which is usually 5 days a week. And go check out Dr. Deck's Masterclass for all those that want to learn how to bend deck boards. Thank you very much and have a great day.